The Lordbound team presented a live stream where they showed us some new locations and spoke about the project and its future. For those who don't know, Lordbound is an expansion-sized mod for the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim that takes place in the war-torn Druadach Valley on the edge of High Rock and Skyrim. Development of this ambitious mod started in 2015. The mod was supposed to be out this month, that is March 2025, but the team has decided to delay the release to make some changes to the Imperial questline, fix bugs and polish the mod to get it ready for release. So you can expect to explore the Druadach Valley when the mod is stated to release at the end of September. This month's update will showcase highlights from the live stream and my observations and commentary. I will also link the full stream in the description for those interested. So let's get started then, shall we? There are two ways to enter Druadach Valley. The first option is the Orc route and the second option is the Imperial route. You meet an NPC in Whiterun who will talk to you about Druadach Valley and both the travel options. You may choose any one of these routes to enter the valley, but it won't lock you into a faction. We enter the tunnel and get approached by an Orc named Lieutenant Kurz, who is with the Imperial Legion. Apparently, the rest of the team went ahead to secure the valley and set up base camp. And the cohort has a glamorous job of bringing the last of the supply reserves. He asks us to help him in this endeavor. We accept, hop on the wagon and travel to Druadach Valley. After a loading screen, we halt somewhere in the tunnel. Kurz says the road through the mountains is too risky and we gotta travel by foot. He gives you a supply manifest and asks us to deliver it to Captain Fals Whitus at base camp. He suggests to travel there quickly through the tunnels. You can speak to Kurz about the Druadach Valley and other topics to learn more about the world if you wish. Once we are done, we say goodbye to Kurz and now we are on our own. As we leave the location, an Imperial guard warns us about a Reachman clan called Ravenhearts. Apparently, they are dangerous. The developers say that historically these tunnels were created by the Thalmor using slave labor. The Imperials are using it now and you will find it in a state of disrepair. Why did the Thalmor have an interest in this area? So we have to play the mod to find out. We enter a large open area with lots of walkways and paths. I assume there's a lot to explore here for some cool environment storytelling. Hopefully. We meet some Ravenheart Reachman clan members who are hostile by default. Unfortunately, Reachmen continue to be enemies in Lordbound, just like the Forsworn in Skyrim. There are no neutral or friendly clans. The player can't work for them and they are not a joinable faction. Which makes sense because they are not the main subject of the mod. There are 4 Reachman clans, the Ravenhearts, Darkborn, Longfang and Blackthorn. Each of them has unique cultural characteristics and wears clan-specific equipment. We enter another spectacular section of the cave with lots of verticality and areas to explore. As we walk along the edge of a cliff, we face more of those Reachmen. They seem to behave like usual Skyrim bandits and should not pose a challenge to a low-level character. We dispatch them and make our way to the exit and finally enter the Druadach Valley near the Imperial base camp. As you can see, we arrive near the Imperial base camp. To the east, we have HighReach, the Breton Kingdom, and towards our west, we have the market town of Gardale. When we enter the game world, this town is controlled by the Orcs. Welcome to the crazy valley of Reachman clans, Orc strongholds, Breton kingdoms and Imperial profiteers. Get ready for a wild ride. As we walk past the Imperial base camp, the team said they are rewriting the Imperial questline. Apparently, they got some feedback about the pacing being off, and there was lots of go talk to this person and then talk to that person and come back to this person, and apparently the team were not happy about that. I'm curious about the fact that the team is changing an entire questline this late during the development cycle. I honestly don't mind talking to NPCs, it helps me understand the game world. But anyway, I hope they create a memorable questline for the Imperials, with every quest having branching and choices for the player. As an outsider to the valley and a superpower, I can see a lot of potential for great stories here. However, the developers did mention that the NPCs in the questline will be aware if you participated in the Civil War questline, and they will address you by your rank. That is really cool. We find a road sign this way to Gardale, HighReach, Oakfell, West Edge, and also Jehanna. Of course, Jehanna is in High Rock and is not part of the mod. And then we find the banner of Gardale. It is a major trade hub in the middle of a trade route. The banner is a snowy mountain with a road. As we enter the city, a scout warns us about the Orcs of Garshakur. They are not friendly with the Empire. Garshakur is home to the majority of the valley's Orcs. As the population and need for resources grew, they expanded eastward, founding new settlements. So expect to find many Orc hamlets and outposts as we go west from the Imperial base camps. Suddenly, the scout gets an arrow to the head from a sniper. Since the player is not wearing Imperial armor, they are spared. The developers do not enter the city of Gardale in this stream and decide to take the road around it. Gardale is a fully fortified settlement that used to be a major trading point along the route connecting Skyrim to Jehanna. They were independent and affiliated with the Britons of HighReach. At the start of the mod, they are affiliated with the Orcs. The town has always retained a mercantile mindset that has pushed them towards establishing peaceful relations with their neighbors. However, with the arrival of the Imperials, some of the ambitious citizens of Gardale have decided to take action against the now established Orcs. This has resulted in the Orcs raiding the town and killing many. On top of that, we have the Richmond clans who have thrived on the chaos that has gripped Gardale and have seized the opportunity to take over the town's mine. As you can see, there is a lot going on here. Multiple factions are vying for control of a centrally located trade hub. The world building is great, and there's a lot of potential for some interesting stories here. Let's hope the writing and quest design team can blow our minds with awesome questing content. The Gardale outskirts are beautiful. Lots of wonderful vistas here with the lake around the town. We also find many idyllic lakeside farms. As we leave the area, we visit an abandoned fort that is inhabited by the Ravenheart Richmond clan. Of course, they just sacrifice themselves like brainless Skyrim bandits. We also have few Ravenheart NPCs who use magic. The Richmond have also tamed a wolf-like creature known as Durzog, who attacks the player. We walk past the fort and see a solitary house along the river. A beautiful spot indeed. To note that everything you see here is vanilla. The developers have not modded anything. Thus all the colors are muted and we have the typical Skyrim grey palette. I understand developers testing their mods on vanilla, but nowadays most people run Skyrim with mods that totally change how Skyrim appears. I wish the Lordbound team will also test with popular Skyrim mods that changes textures, environments and the weather. As we go ahead, we find the remnants of a great Dwemer city. It looks like the relentless industrialization of the Dwemer has left its mark on this part of the valley. You will find a lot of Dwemer construction above ground in the Druadach Valley, with a lot of intermingling with nature. We have Ravenheart Richmond clan members who occupy the exteriors of the Dwemer ruin. Again, they sacrifice themselves. We open the door and reach another exterior zone of the ruin called Ralbzuft Eyrie. Just like Markarth, the city is carved into the surrounding rock. It's just spectacular to look at. Great work by the Lordbound designers. As we enter the zone, the developers talk about the Orc and Imperial quest lines. You can complete the first 6 quests in each faction. By the time you work on the 7th quest, You will ultimately have to make a choice. I like faction locking, this will encourage roleplay and replayability. The path outside then leads you to another set of Dwemer structures that seems to be submerged underwater. This used to be a functioning city or facility, but everything is now in disarray. I like that you have some underwater areas to explore. I hope there's some cool environment storytelling for people who choose to explore the submerged areas here. We finally reached the doors of the ruin. We enter the ruin and have the usual spinner traps. A volatile Dwemer spider bot explodes on death. And a ballista shoots projectiles at you. As we explore the ruin, we see dead bodies of Reachmen, which gives us the idea of the dangers within. We enter a main room with some sort of Dwemer colossus standing in place. It looks like it is in a powered down state. Thank God. I love it. The room is very atmospheric and the giant colossus really adds to the feeling of dread. You never know when it will come alive. Impressive work by the team. For the giant Dwemer colossus, the team has used assets from another creator but have customized the AI and combat style among other things. Here we see some new enemies, a Dwemer worker who uses a two-handed hammer. We have never seen such creatures in Skyrim Dwemer ruins. The team has worked on many different types of enemies who seem to have a responsibility. While the Dwemer may have disappeared, their machines are still here, trying to maintain a dying city for thousands of years. They then switch on a lever which sets everything on fire. We get to see more of these volatile spiders which explodes on death. We then run like crazy, avoiding traps and explosions. This scripted scene was very well done. Great stuff. We meet more volatile spiders and enter the main room. This time we see steam everywhere. That lever we pushed earlier seemed to have set something in motion. And ominously, we see steam emanating from that giant colossus. Yikes, what have we done? We then turn on some more levers, which we assume would do something in the main room. This reminds me of Daggerfall. Activate a lever here, it does something over there. Good old Daggerfall lever hell. Finally, we enter a frosty area and activate a valve. This gets rid of some spinner traps. And activate another valve which results in a frostbite spider versus a Dwemer spider fight. Let's join in. I asked the developers about the linearity of dungeons and if we have multiple paths in some of them, and the devs did say that they have a good variety of linear and freeform dungeons. We then get back to the main room and now we have to activate the main lever, which powers up the giant unstable Dwemer colossus. Of course, you can't hurt this abomination using steel weapons or arrows. They get him to a location and activate those Dwemer ballista bolts to finally get him. We then fight more of those volatile spiders and everything is calm again. That was a superb sequence. I really enjoyed it. Great work by the Lordbound dungeon team. The developers then teleported to the Lordbound Tower in the HighReach hold. Welcome to the home of Lordbound. These mage knights are loyal to the Lord of HighReach, who grants them autonomy with regards to magical research and tutoring. We then visit the living room of many Lordbound masters. Each of the Lordbound masters has a specialty in a specific school of magic, and their living quarters reflect that along with their personalities. The devs did say that we'll be interacting with these Lordbound masters in one of the quest lines, as we see some fancy carving work at this fireplace. This Lordbound master seems to have a fascination for plants. We do have all sorts of art, books lying around. I love the clutter. Fantastic environment storytelling and interior design. We then take a walk outside the city of Gardale and go past some farms and find two friendly ghosts. Apparently some fishermen got murdered during the events of Elder Scrolls Shadowkey. I like how they integrated events from that game here. The swamp is atmospheric with lots of fog, undead and strange creatures. We finally reach Motte Malgorath, a large orc stronghold that has its own leadership under the banner of Garshakur. The town is supposed to be a difficult place to train and live, and the developers have tried to capture that feel. And just as we were talking about the gritty nature of the city, we encountered a brawl within the city. What a crazy place. The team then wanted to showcase some cool spells, so they teleported to a spell room where they showcased new kinds of magic: geomancy, shadow magic, blood magic and more. You can watch the live stream if you want to see these spell effects. That's about it guys for this month's Lordbound update. The Lordbound team has worked hard on this mod for more than 10 years. There is so much of creative work here. Kudos to the team, and we will have a week-long celebration event on the channel with Lordbound videos all week once the mod is out at the end of September. May Malakath, Magnus and Mara watch over you.